I think we are meeting for the second time for some of you. Today the topic is something about rheumatology and little difficult topic. Not that we have seen many cases in scleroderma, but whatever I have learned or whatever learning is there, I will share with you. It should not be taken as something which is being taught, but share it, because I know that most of you are all practicing. Now scleroderma topic by itself, I request some review about the topic itself. So I will be talking little about the topic and then the cases. The reason for doing that, because scleroderma is not easily diagnosed. It is usually as a residual diagnosis. Sometimes it is confused with one or the other issues. It can be presenting at a different ways in different patients. It could be just skin presentation, it could be just a respiratory presentation, it could be sometimes just vascular presentation. Like one doctor, my student again, had come to me with the, Doctor, sir, please do something. Student means he is practicing since now last 10 years, but he came to the clinic one day, sir, I want to see you, please look at me. Luckily, after homeopathic medication, it's solved. That's a different story. But what I am trying to say is that presentations can be varied. Sometimes we miss out scleroderma just like that. It's when person goes to rheumatologist or someone senior doctor, then after few investigation, again it is not a conclusive phenomenon. Are you people understanding that? So therefore scleroderma topic was a difficult topic. I was learning, so I said I might as well share with you. It's not that I would say I am an expert in scleroderma, treating scleroderma, but some cases I have treated over the last 25 years. So now this is very interesting that when I am talking about this scleroderma, when was it discovered? It is said that Hippocrates discovered it. So you can imagine how many years ago the scleroderma was there. It's a rare condition, but an old condition. Scleroderma is derived from the Greek word scleros, which means hard or indurated, and derma means skin, which I don't think needs explanation. Now this is a history of scleroderma. You see, Hippocrates first described this as thickened skin. Then Carlo Curzio, again Italian, first detailed description of scleroderma in a patient with hard skin, which he described as wood-like or as containing a dry hide. Now this is important. This is very important. Number of times we can diagnose scleroderma by looking at the patient's face. It looks as if it is stretched out completely. You can see this, it is stretched out, and some along the line, if you see the profile, it gives like a beaked appearance. It's like this. It's as if somebody has pulled everything like this, and now it becomes like a beak. It's a triangle, beaked appearance. So that's how the understanding is. So one of the skin presentation, yes, whenever skin presentation, so you see some people have got very what you call stiff upper lip they call, but then you see that lip is less, lip has gone in. This is the common presentation which we see. Those are the cases when we investigate will turn out to be scleroderma, but those are far in between. In 1836, Guillaume Battista, it is Antonetti, applied the term scleroderma to a patient's condition, patient with dark leather-like skin who exhibited a loss of range of joint motion due to skin tightening. And when I had asked my senior professor, sir, this is a student, she used to be pain, she used to be absent in the class and all. So when we would ask, I have got severe pain, I can't get up, things like that. And then when I asked my teacher those days, she said she will not survive more. Now, that's very painful. As a young person, it was very painful for us. This young person like me, and the doctor says that she will not survive more. Again, she has survived. That's a different story. Again, I am telling you about how things, what we read and what happens, need not necessarily be the same. So, the joint pain also occurs because of the stretching of the skin. The basic pathology, what we see in this condition is the collagen. It's a collagen disorder, autoimmune disorder, collagen disorder, where thickening occurs. Many times in our practice, I am just correlating it. Many times in our practice, patients come to us कि खट्टा खाने से तकलीफ बढ़ जाती है, no? And quite a number of rheumatologists say it is not possible. How it is so? Though they do listen. Means in India, everybody would be telling that to their, the patient would be telling to the doctor. But there is no. While going through this, I came somewhere very nicely. is that कौन सा खट्टा? Vitamin C. Why vitamin C? Pardon? Yes, it has something to do with the collagen, no? So pro-collagen factor is increased with this, and more collagen is formed, and therefore this tightening. So people with joint pains definitely can have aggravation with SAR, which we know, but sometimes people do not correlate. Only for scleroderma they write it, but when it comes down to any other rheumatoid arthritis, etc., they say it is not so. But please understand, any rheumatological condition need not be absolute pure rheumatoid arthritis, absolute pure scleroderma. So there will be always some amount of one or the other. So when a patient says, it has to be accepted because the patient is the right person. He knows his problem. Robert H. Goetz first described in detail the concept of scleroderma as a systemic disease in 1945. He also introduced the term progressive systemic sclerosis to emphasize the systemic and often progressive nature of the disease. So this is a brief idea about what we understand as. This is the definition for the purpose. The term systemic sclerosis is used to describe a systemic disease characterized by skin induration and thickening accompanied by various degrees of tissue fibrosis and chronic inflammatory infiltration in numerous visceral organs, prominent fibroproliferative vasculopathy, and humoral and cellular immune alterations. By these things, 4 points we should remember is that one, skin fibrosis across all the systems. You can have HRCT showing fibrosis in the lungs, so it can be mimicking interstitial lung disease. In vascular fibrosis, you can have, many times we have seen allergic vasculitis where the person bleeds and then ulcerations occurs, which we talk as topic ulcerations, which is not so, could be scleroderma. So sometimes we do miss out, and for us to miss out is easier, homeopaths. When we prescribe, the patient is alright. So it might have been that you have treated some of the cases and they are cured, but you do not know that you have cured some part of scleroderma. Not only that, because you are giving constitutional, you have cured scleroderma. You are not aware. So when we become aware of what investigation is being done, I think we can present more papers like this. It is possible for all of us to do that. It's not that impossible. So it's only that we do not, many times we do not bother about it. We know the symptoms are very interesting, symptoms are clear, prescribe and the patient is alright. So no need to bother. But if we can think of that and investigate and then we give the results, I think our science will have more backup everywhere. Cellular immune alterations, this is a very difficult situation because when we come to the investigation part of scleroderma, I am trying to tell from the definition itself so that we can correlate. In investigations, quite a number of investigations are there, but none of them are confirmative, except for skin biopsy where they say it looks like scleroderma. Otherwise, all the investigations, you have plenty of investigation, but it is found in 45% of the patient, in 75% of the patient, in 20% of the patient, in some whites, in some Hispanics and things like that. Variations are there. They have also added MMP2, 1 and 2 new ones, which is also used for confirming appendicitis. So varied range. A person is appendicitis, whether it will burst or not, the same investigation is done to know whether the person is going scleroderma or not. Are you people understanding what I am trying to say? A person who has got MMP2 positive, it's a big name, I can tell you the name afterwards, but that's not important. So when it is positive, it indicates this appendix will burst in acute appendicectomy. And same thing we can use in case of scleroderma. So various investigations are ACM and what is known as anti-centron 4 antibodies, so etc. etc. Nowadays they have further classified joint pains into various classifications. It will be a confusing thing. For homeopaths that is not confusing because we prescribe on the totality. But we need to know all this now because we need to investigate.